Oh, okay.
Everybody ready? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the April 1st. This is no joke. Regular City Commission meeting of the City of Deerfield Beach. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Hudak,
Here.
Commissioner Plaut,
Here.
Commissioner Shinesky,
Here.
Vice Mayor Preston,
Here.
Mayor Drosky.
Here. At this time, we're going to take a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance, but everybody please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have acknowledgement of our city board meeting minutes, code of compliance for January 14th, 2025 and February 11th, 2025. Is there a motion to acknowledge?
Motion to acknowledge.
Motion by Commissioner Plow. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Preston. I heard Vice Mayor Preston first, second by Vice Mayor Preston. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Let the record show unanimous consent. Next, we have approval of the agenda for this evening, April 1st, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Hudak. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Commissioner Shinesky. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Let the record show unanimous consent. Madam Clerk?
For those attending via Zoom online wishing to speak under public comment or on an item that's open for public input, please click raise hand at the bottom under the reactions tab, and your audio will be unmuted when you are recognized by Mayor Drosky. For those attending via Zoom by telephone, please press *9 to raise your hand, and your audio will be unmuted when you are recognized by Mayor Drosky. Please make sure your audio is unmuted on your end by pressing *6. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have first awards and recognitions. Proclamation presented to the Iguana Rehabilitation and Adoption Center. Anyone see the agenda online?
I don't think that's enough money.
There was an April Fool's agenda online. The real number one tonight. Everybody be on their best behavior. Proclamation presented to Children's Services Council of Broward County in recognition of Child Abuse Prevention Month, sponsored by Commissioner Hudak. Commissioner Hudak, I'll let you make some comments at the end. If I could just read the proclamation first. Is anyone here from the Children's Services Council this evening? Raise your hand if so. Nobody? Okay. Whereas Deerfield Beach's bright future depends on the healthy development of its children, and whereas adverse childhood experiences, including the abuse and neglect of children, can cause severe and costly consequences for children, families, and society as a whole, whereas every child has a right to have a safe, healthy, and happy childhood, where they are educationally and developmentally on track, and whereas research shows that parents and caregivers who have support systems and know how to seek help in times of trouble are more resilient and better able to provide safe environments and nurturing experiences for their children. And whereas it is vital that individuals, businesses, schools, and community organizations make children a top priority and to act to support the physical, social, emotional, and educational development and competency of all children. And whereas the Children's Services Council of Broward County is committed to supporting families by funding family support programs designed to reduce the incidence and impact of child abuse, neglect, and trauma. These programs stabilize families in crisis, promote positive parenting strategies, prevent out-of-home placements, and reduce involvement in the dependency system. And whereas Broward Aware, a countywide campaign led by the Children's Services Council and its partners, aims to raise awareness of child abuse prevention by promoting healthy child development, positive parenting practices, and community engagement. And whereas Child Abuse Prevention Month provides an important opportunity to encourage all Floridians to participate in activities that strengthen families and communities, creating environments where children can thrive. Now therefore, I, Todd Drosky, Mayor of the City of Deerfield Beach, in recognition thereof, do hereby proclaim April 2025 Child Abuse Prevention Month. Commissioner Hudak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This organization does wonders for our community. But as most of you who have seen the news know of the recent tragedy in a neighboring city, where a father murdered 3 of his children. Still, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And an organization such as the Children's Services Council of Broward County, they do everything that they possibly can to help protect our children. They're our next generation. I wish that there was a member from the organization here online or in attendance so that we could thank them for all the hard work that they do. There are a lot of families out there that face a lot of challenges, and sometimes they don't know how to get the help that they need in order to provide a healthy, happy home for their children. Not a lot of people have children in order to abuse them. In fact, I would say none of them do. But the stresses of life, the stresses of dependency, often overtake good, well-being parents. So I'm honored to sponsor the Children's Service Council of Broward County, and I'm glad we were able to put this proclamation forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner, for bringing this forward. Second tonight is certificate of recognition presented by Captain Hofstein to BSO law enforcement staff. Captain.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, distinguished commissioners, Mr. City Manager, and citizens of Deerfield Beach. Always a pleasure to be here to regale you with these amazing tales of heroism and just outstanding public safety. So I actually, of course, intended on honoring 15 people tonight, and that is not an April Fool's joke. Although all of our people, 134 sworn law enforcement out of our 151, do amazing work every day. 15 actually did such outstanding work. I wish they were all there, but due to schedules, it's not always feasible. And I know the city manager can't give me an hour to stand up here. But I have three amazing employees here that I'd like to recognize tonight and tell the city about the amazing things that they do right here in your community. So first, I am very pleased to honor, this is Deputy Jessica Klee and Deputy Evelyn Gomez. You may recognize them, other than it's not their usual attire, as they're also often, if not every Tuesday, well, every other Tuesday, when we're here for commission, diligently protecting all of us outside. They are normally assigned to the security detail, where actually Deputy Klee is tonight. But they're here tonight and they're tied to be honored for some of the other amazing things that they do. Also, we have this wonderful complement of outstanding young adults. These are our future of law enforcement. And even if they don't go into law enforcement, these are just the fabulous future of our community here. These are our outstanding police explorers, for which Deputy Klee and Deputy Gomez are also distinguished explorer advisors. And they're the reasons why our explorers are so outstanding and so highly recognized in the state of Florida. They've won multiple competitions, as you're aware of. So they came here tonight to also honor their advisors. So I'm going to read this verbatim because it's very well written. This is from our XO, who's here in the audience, Lieutenant Christian Silva. It was a great pride that we recognize Deputy Gomez and Deputy Jessica Klee as our employees of the month for their exceptional professionalism, swift action, and unwavering dedication in the recent recovery of a missing child from Tedder Elementary. This occurred in January. Their exemplary teamwork and commitment to public safety reflect the highest standards of service that we strive for here at the Broward Sheriff's Office, Deerfield Beach. This was on January 29th at 8 a.m. Our district was summoned to the area of Tedder Elementary following reports that a very young female juvenile had vanished on her way to school. Responding police officers promptly established an incident command and launched a coordinated search effort. Initial reports indicated that the child was last seen around the I-95 crossover at Northwest 40th Street. Understanding the urgency of the situation, Deputies Gomez and Klee systematically conducted searches both within the school and surrounding areas to ensure no possibility was overlooked. Operating under the assumption that the child may have crossed the I-95 overpass and reached school grounds, Deputies Gomez and Klee executed a methodical search along the west side of the I-95 barrier wall from 4400 to the 4200 block. However, as new information emerged, they adapted their strategy, expanding the search westward towards Northwest 3rd Avenue. Their persistence bore fruit and led them to a juvenile matching the description of the missing child in the parking lot of a municipal building at Northwest 42nd Court. After confirming the child's identity, Deputy Klee provided reassurance and comfort, while Deputy Gomez coordinated with search teams to report the successful recovery. Although frightened, the child was unharmed and explained that she had lost her way after returning home for a forgotten crayon box. Demonstrating compassion and professionalism, Deputies Gomez and Klee safely transported the child back to school, where she was reunited with her sister and school staff. The incident highlights their extraordinary commitment, quick thinking, and collaborative teamwork, which is key. Qualities that define outstanding law enforcement professionals. Their ability to navigate complex situations with precision and care embodies the values we uphold dearly as an organization. For their exceptional service and dedication to public safety, we are proud to honor Deputies Evelyn Gomez and Jessica Klee as our employees of the month. I'll give you your certificates after. And you know, listen, it's not a token situation where I say that. We do often have children that we think are missing, but they're not really missing, and we always err on the side of caution. This child truly was missing and endangered and lost, and we all know the unfortunate nefarious things that could have happened, but were prevented thanks to their quick actions. So fantastic work again. Also standing here as an outstanding deputy, this is Deputy Stephen Lees. I'd like to say I feel like he's newer, but it's already been 5-6 years. He's a seasoned veteran now, and he also comes from amazing lineage. It's no coincidence the apple didn't fall far from the tree. His father, I'm going to embarrass him, is here in the audience tonight. That is Major Greg Lees, retired. Also, not only retired Major of BSO, former Assistant Police Chief of the Coconut Creek Police Department. So also a very distinguished member of the law enforcement community, did fantastic because Stephen Lees is a shining example for us. He was actually working in the capacity of a training deputy, which is so important. And just to show and highlight how important that training is, he was with his trainee and while conducting a traffic stop on a vehicle due to an expired tag, something seemingly benign or minor, upon contacting the driver, it was discovered that the individual did have a suspended license, which was 5 prior suspensions. Further investigation revealed that the suspect was in possession of approximately 40 grams of cannabis, an electronic scale, and multiple empty plastic bags, all indicative of narcotics distribution. Additionally, most importantly, the suspect was found to have a loaded firearm along with 2 fully loaded ammunition magazines. Ultimately, the suspect was arrested and charged with the following offenses: felony driving with license suspended, possession with narcotics with intent to deliver, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Deputy Lees and his trainees' vigilance played a crucial role in removing an armed individual, an armed drug dealer, if you will, from the streets of Deerfield, ensuring a safer community. And for that, we commend him as Deputy of the Month. And I just want to highlight that this was not a response to a call. This was our deputies doing what we need them to do, most importantly, being proactive, out there looking for things that shouldn't be there and finding them and removing them from our streets and making them much safer. So I present you with your certificates proudly. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
That brings us to item number 3 on the agenda, presentation regarding dune management plan. Mr. City Manager?
We'll have Patrick from Sustainable Management will do the presentation.
Patrick, just give him 1 minute, please.
No problem.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Patrick Bartis, and I'm the city's coastal coordinator. Tonight, I've created a brief presentation to provide information regarding the Dune Master Plan. Tonight, I will discuss some of the Dune Master Plan highlights, recent dune maintenance activities that our staff has conducted. I will introduce Mark Hartman of Broward County to discuss their goals and support, and he will introduce Lee Gottlieb to talk about our public-private partnerships. Some of the highlights from the Dune Master Plan: utilizing best management practices for design standards and implementation, maintenance guidelines, plant recommendations, funding considerations, utilizing city funds and private-public partnerships, and stakeholder engagement. I met with staff from Ocean Rescue, Parks and Recreation, and IT to create this plan. We conducted multiple public workshops, conducted a public survey with over 700 responses, and we met with residents to address their concerns. Some of the maintenance guidelines in the plan call for maintaining a 4 to 8 foot buffer from the grassy berm to reduce landward spreading of the dunes, construct access points at a 45-degree angle to reduce sand intrusion and keep sand on the beach. And in areas where the vegetation has overgrown the access points, we will trim back those access points to provide 6 feet of clearance. And staff should conduct annual inspections and provide maintenance on an annual as-needed basis. Excuse me. So while meeting with residents, they voiced their concerns over the maintenance of our existing dunes, and frankly, they were right. As you can see on the photo on the left, the dune had spread landward towards the grassy berm and had gone outside of their post and rope boundary. I applied for a permit with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and they granted that permit so we could trim back the dunes to create that post and rope boundary. There was another instance where the dunes had spread their post and rope boundary, so we utilized the guidelines in our field permit, and we extended that post and rope to contain those dunes, and we trimmed back, so we have that post and rope boundary. And now I will introduce Mark Hartman, Environmental Specialist with Broward County, to discuss their program goals and support. He will then introduce Lee Gottlieb, who will talk about our public-private partnerships.
Mr. Hartman, if you could just identify yourself.
Yeah, my
who
name's
you're with,
Mark.
Name and address, please.
My name's Mark Hartman, and I am with Broward County. I run their Dune Grant program. We have $50,000 a year in funding for $5,000 Dune grants, where we promote restoration of dunes that have been overgrown by invasive species, or the creation of new dunes where there have historically not been dunes, or they've been removed. And part of what we do is we collaborate with the Audubon Society and other groups where we do partnerships, and a lot of them will bring out high school kids, middle school kids who will actually help in doing the dune planting itself. We also coordinate with outside groups if there's invasive removal that requires heavy machinery, all with the overarching idea of promoting resilience of the county's dune system. Our stated goal is 80% coverage within the county. Last time we tracked it, I think we were at 63% along the 24-mile coastline. So, and part of our partnership is Lee Gottlieb. He's with the Audubon Society, and he knows more about dunes than anybody in this room ever will.
Before you go, Mr. Hartman, just your address with the county, please, for the clerk.
Yeah, it's 115 South Andrews.
Fort Lauderdale, 33301.
Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Same thing, name, address, who you're with.
Lee Gottlieb with the South Florida Audubon. I'm also the founder of an organization called Adopt a Dune. Our organization was formed since in 2020 to assist cities who are interested in restoring and protecting their coastal dune system. We've been working with cities like Hollywood, Dania Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Lauderdale by the Sea, and your neighbor to the south, Pompano, to help them assess what they have and address any concerns that they have as far as overgrowth, but more importantly, maintaining the dunes so they're not obstructing view and taking up your recreational facilities. We've actually done projects in your city before, and we actually did a project on the south end of the Central Beach area to prove the fact that these dunes would not obstruct views, that they can be maintained, and they're currently in pretty good condition based on the maintenance aspects. So we're here to assist the city in finding volunteers, in engaging funding opportunities, bringing in corporate partnerships to actually assist the city in actually building the dunes based on this dune master plan. I look forward to finally working with this city. I've actually been coming back here for about 7 years now, trying to get this city to move forward. And the most important thing that Mark brought up is the goal of the county is important. They understand the importance of coastal dune systems, and Deerfield Beach is a very important part of that process of restoring our coastal dune systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Bardis?
That's actually not correct, Heather, but so that's okay. So, but just to summarize this presentation, staff is going to be moving forward with the implementation of the Dune Master Plan. Our first project is anticipated for the fall of this year, and we will also be making some funding requests in the upcoming fiscal year 26 budget workshops. So thank you, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Commissioner Hudak, it's your district. Would you like to go first if you have any questions?
I'll wait for a public response.
Okay. While you're there, Mr. Bardis, the two questions that we get the most, one is, are the dunes even necessary? And then two, the plantings there is going to obstruct the view of the ocean from the grassy knoll or from the street. So let's take those in order. So just so we can be very clear, can you go through the science behind the, I know we've talked about this in previous workshops at the commission meeting, but can you go through the science of dunes and what they're intended to do?
Well, the plants will trap the sand on the beach and create an elevated berm, and that elevated berm will act as the last line of defense from any storm surge. So it will reduce the wave activity and protect the public infrastructure behind it. And one of the goals of this is to remove that brown screen on our beach that overwhelmingly the public does not like and wants to be removed immediately. And we can't do that without having some kind of something to keep the sand on the beach, because we know whenever there is an elevated wind event, wherever that screen is not, or there aren't dunes, sand gets all over the grassy berm. It takes staff time to maintain it. And that sand once the sand hits the street, it cannot go back onto the beach. So because it's considered contaminated by fuel that's on the roadways. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I mean, the purpose, I don't want to speak for you, but the dune is to catch the wind-blown sand naturally so that we don't need that very wonderful looking screen that we have along there. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we can eventually eliminate the screen that
Yeah, when we conducted the public survey with over 700 responses, 85% of the responses were, yes, we want dunes because we want to eliminate that brown screen.
And the other question is with respect to the height of the plantings. I know you and I spoke separately. Delray Beach in particular has the C grapes, make sure I get this correct. And that's why they grow very fast. And so that's why their beach would be very different from ours. We're not contemplating planting that.
Correct.
And it'll be very, I know Commissioner Hudak had this concern as well, is about the height of the plantings and the maintenance of them. Can you go into that for a second, please?
Sure. So we have 3 examples of recent dunes around Southeast 3rd Street. They've been in for approximately 10 years. We know now that height has not gone higher than the brown screen, which I can show in that presentation. So we can maintain obviously the spreading from the post and road boundary, and we can also maintain the height. So we all want to have the view of the ocean, right? Everyone wants that. So we have found that there are no places where in our beach where COs have grown to a level of more than like 4 feet of height, because they keep falling over, so it's a grass.
Could you, Madam Clerk, I think it's the last picture that was in the presentation. I think Patrick, doesn't that kind of show the side by side? I thought I saw it
Yep.
there.
So on the right, you can see the brown screen. This picture was taken on the exact same day. You can see the same cloud in the photo, and it was taken from the same point on the sidewalk.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Right.
I think you wanted to speak after. So it is a presentation, so there is no public comment per se, but I think my colleagues would want to hear, so I will open it to the public. Anyone that would like to speak, come to the podium, state your name and address, and get your 3 minutes.
My name is Tom Connick, office address 411 East Hillsborough Boulevard, Deerfield Beach. I became aware that this was going to be on the agenda 2 days ago. I wrote a letter to the commission, which is in your backup material. What was attached for the backup was a report of staff from April of 2024, a year ago. And what happened is I met with members of staff and I researched what was being stated. And in June of 2024, I submitted an analysis, an original Save Our Beach analysis, having contacted people from the environmental protection and others, and going through this, and it's in my report. He's talking about a survey. The survey was 2 years ago. It was in 2023, and the questions were kind of loaded questions where you'd get an answer instead of objective questions. Here's the problem. The problem is here, is it going to be plants over people, or is it going to be people over plants? What is being proposed is this dune vegetation system is a system which is 28 feet wide, and we're only talking about the central beach area which is less than 18% of the 6,700 linear feet of the beach. That's 33,600 square feet that you're going to take from the public for this dune system. In addition to that, you have a concessionaire who right now stores the beach materials that's going to be in that area, and that's going to move up and take more of the beach area. The real issue of beach erosion, and again, all this is in the report, is at the groin area where you have the tides that take the sand. There is no quantification that has been given by staff concerning what amount of sand is lost by wind-blown material. The issue that the commission has to make is whether or not what its position is going to be. Is it going to keep the situation where we don't lose 33,600 square feet of beach space? And I'll remember, it was only about a year and a half ago that the commission paid.
Thank you, Mr. Koenig. That's your 3 minutes. Sorry.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Anyone online, Madam Clerk? Well, Commissioner Hudak was first. That's okay.
Mine isn't either. But yeah, is it turned on?
Budget
All right.
cuts.
Yeah, budget cuts. There you go. I have, this issue has been a hot topic since I've actually been on the dais and even before so I do know that there are individuals, within the city who have concerns with regards to dunes. That's why when I spoke with staff well over a year ago in putting together this draft, we did include some restrictions. And I want to say one of the restrictions is that it would be no more than 20 feet wide, not 28 feet wide. And we would also ensure that the height was maintained as well. We have dunes that are on our beach right now that are over 10 years old. And you've seen the picture on how much that they've grown. What you don't see, because I don't think we have an angle, is the amount of sand that they've actually captured. This sand, with regards, it's not just protecting the beach from beach erosion. It's also protecting the businesses. It's also protecting the sand from blowing into A1A. And as Patrick said earlier, if this sand gets into A1A, then we can't replace it. You can go online and you can look at pictures of Fort Lauderdale Beach. And you can see, in fact, I don't know if we have those pictures. I had asked them to maybe have them keyed up. No, I had asked Chad or Patrick to have them keyed up.
While we're waiting, Commissioner, do you mind if we go to Commissioner Sinetsky and come back to you? while
Go ahead.
While she tees it up so you can get your comments. Commissioner Sinetsky?
Sure. I have a question, and I went to the area, and my question is, and in fact, I brought a few people.
Who's your question for, so we know
I'm
who's
sorry.
who it's directed
My
to?
my question is, I guess, from the environmental. My question is,
Patrick, you can come to the
Patrick, I'm
microphone,
sorry.
please.
In terms of the access and the egress points, will this limit access to the beach? Because I came with some elderly tourists and they were looking around, how can we get to the beach? It's like a maze. I think that's very important in terms of access and egress. Will it limit going to the beach, making it more accessible?
It's going to be absolutely going to make it more accessible. We're going to have strategic access points, mostly by the lifeguard towers too, so we can direct traffic to the safety areas,
Okay.
and our ocean rescue staff can, better protect the beach.
Okay. I have one more question, if it's okay. Okay, I have one more question. I drive down A1A and I see Pompano Beach, they have the Dune Project, Lauderdale by the Sea. But I see that Fort Lauderdale has concrete walls. Now, I'm from South Brooklyn. I grew up Coney Island, Brighton Beach, Manhattan Beach, and it was concrete decorative walls. I'm just curious, comparing dunes to concrete decorative walls, what are the pros and cons?
So as Fort Lauderdale has experienced during a major storm, when the sand gets pushed up against this wall, it creates actually like a ramp with the sand, and the sand just piles it over. And we do have a photo of that, Heather, if you have found it. So if you can see. Plus the wall, it would require constant maintenance. You would have to bury that wall probably 6 feet down. It would be considered a seawall, so permitting might be a challenge as well. And the state encourages dune plantings statewide. That previous photo kind of showed,
That's for Commissioner Hudak. Anything further, Commissioner Sinetsky?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, back to you, Mr. Hudak, or Commissioner Hudak,
Thank you.
sorry.
So that picture that you just had up there, Heather, we'll start with that one there. That's Fort Lauderdale Beach. As you can see, there are no dunes. The next picture is from a rainstorm. It's not even a hurricane. Drum roll, please. There you go. That's from a rainstorm. As you can see, all of the sand that was actually on A1A, they've actually, piled it up. There are other photos where you can see the dune has protected the road. Now, if you get a significant event, no dune is going to fully protect A1A. But these dunes are our best defense against sand infiltrating the roadways. That's what it's really about, is stopping the sands from infiltrating the roadways. It's not necessarily pushing the sand back from the dune, towards the ocean to replenish the sand that way. And again, it's cheaper to maintain these dunes than it is to maintain this ugly construction fence that is up now 365 days a year. And that's, I think people on a whole would much rather a natural solution than an artificial solution, which is that windscreen that we have been dealing with for 10 years. And that's why I am actually supporting this as much as I have. Thank you.
If you push your light, yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'd like to ask one more question to the
guess we're not gonna push
environmental
the light.
director. How about in terms of a longer jetty? Again, I'm from South Brooklyn, Coney Island, Brighton Beach, they have a long jetty, and that seems to stop a lot of the sand. Is that something maybe you considered as well?
it could be considered, absolutely. However, we have offshore resources that would probably prevent us getting permits from Army Corps of Engineers and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. They take our nearshore reef systems very seriously, and any kind of impact to them would not be permittable.
Thank you.
Mr. Hudak, you have your light still on. Do you need to speak again or?
Nope.
Okay. Commissioner Preston, Commissioner Plow, or Vice Mayor?
Comment at this time.
Okay, it's a presentation. It's not an action item. So City Manager, we'll move on to number 4, please.
Okay, items 4, 5, and 6 are going to be presented together. They regard the same property and the same proposed development. So I'm going to read the titles for items 4, 5, and 6 into the record. We will need separate votes on each one of these items. Item number 4 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, vacating and abandoning a portion of a 15-foot wide alley right-of-way located in the vicinity of 1400 and 1498 Southwest 3rd Street, Deerfield Beach, providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date, and that is second reading. Item number 5 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, considering the plat application from Alliance 3rd Street Deerfield LLC to replat 2 adjacent parcels into one approximately 3.29 acre property generally located at 1400 and 1498 Northwest 3rd Street in the B3 zoning district to permit 71,204 248 square feet of warehouse use, application number 25-P-239, providing for complex severability and an effective date. And item number 6 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, considering a major site plan from Alliance 3rd Street Deerfield LLC to construct a one-story, 71,248 square foot industrial warehouse building with associated site improvements on the approximately 3.29 acre property generally located at 1400 and 1498 Northwest 3rd Street, application number 05B394. Revision 3, considering a technical deviation in accordance with section 98-88Q of the Deerfield Beach Land Development Code to permit the warehouse and office use on the property to operate with a total of 78 parking spaces in lieu of the minimum 103 parking spaces required by code. Case number 2573, providing for conflicts, severability, and effective date. The applicant is represented today by Ms. Heidi Davis Knappich from the Gunster Law Firm. And Ms. Knappich, if you can come up here and just let me know whether you're going to waive the formal quasi-judicial proceeding after you state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Heidi Davis Knappich with the law firm of Gunster, 450 East Las Olas Boulevard, Suite 1400, Fort Lauderdale, 33301. And yes, I waive. And may I borrow this?
So before you start, I just want to remind my colleagues that 4, 5, and 6, we're going to discuss together. They're going to be presented together, but we're going to vote on them separately at the end.
Hi again, sorry. Heidi Davis again on behalf of Alliance. On behalf of Alliance 3rd Street Deerfield LLC, the owner of the property at 1400 and 1498 Northwest 3rd Street. With me this evening to answer any of your questions are our development team, including Max Ryan from Alliance, Robert Morgado and Brett Waldman from Bowler Engineer, who are the site engineer and landscape architects for the project, and the architect Andre Cappy of DK Architects. The existing property contains 2 parcels located at 1400 and 1498 Northwest 3rd Street, which is just north of Hillsborough Boulevard, west of I-95, and it's also adjacent to the large UPS distribution facility. The property is approximately 137,693 square feet and is zone B3 general business. It has a city land use designation of industrial and a Broward County land use designation of commerce. The proposed use as an industrial warehouse distribution facility with ancillary office is a permitted use within the B3 zoning district and compatible with the surrounding uses, which are industrial and heavy commercial uses. The property currently contains an older 27,000 square feet structure built in the 1960s, which is an industrial heavy commercial use. The building is 2 stories and there is storage of equipment and vehicles on the property. The property is currently devoid of street trees or any viable landscaping, and the building contains no real architectural features. We are here tonight to request several applications. The first is major site plan, a right-of-way abandonment, and a plat approval. As part of the site plan, we'll be also asking for a request for a parking deviation and provide deed restricted uses. The proposed use is a 1-story, 71,248 square foot industrial distribution center, of which 64,248 square feet will be for industrial uses and 7,000 square feet will be for ancillary office use. The building will be divided into 4 to 5 tenant bays of approximately 15,000 to 18,000 square feet. The height of the structure is 31 feet, where the maximum height in the B3 zoning district is 50 feet. We wanted to really thank staff. Your staff has been amazing with us. They've worked hard with us and have been very patient in helping make this project something that we can all be proud of. Site plan complies with the requirements of the Land Development Code and is consistent and compatible with the comprehensive plan and surrounding area. The design of the site provides safe vehicular, pedestrian, and truck circulation. The loading service areas are recessed and screened, so not to be visible from the street. The project is designed in a contemporary style with simple and clean lines and consists of vertical and horizontal features on all four sides of the building. Architectural elements incorporated into the design include wall offsets, score lines, parapet projections, and canopies. Pedestrian scale elements, including prominent canopy sheltered entrance features and large expanses of storefront glazing on the north, east, and west elevations, are used to break up the mass and scale of the structure. These architectural features activate the elevations and increase the natural light into the building. Additionally, a neutral color palette and ribbed metal panels accentuate the facades and provide the scale and proportion of the building. Mechanical equipment is fully screened with parapets of varying height and architectural features that enhance the structure and create roof variations. Loading bays are located within the property and none facing the street. The structure will be constructed using modular tilt-up panels with smooth concrete finish to further enhance the contemporary clean aesthetics. The project is designed with lush, beautiful landscaping surrounding the property and the building, including a variety of canopy and understory palms and shrubs. The landscaping along Northwest 3rd Street is designed in layers to create a generous 20-foot landscape strip planted with heavy landscaping and trees, a 5-foot sidewalk, and then an additional 5 feet of foundation planting against the building, creating a large, approximately 31-foot buffer yard from the street, which will enhance and screen the building and beautify the area. Additional landscaping is incorporated at the driveway entrances, the vehicle use areas, and adjacent to the building with foundation plantings, and creates safe vehicular and pedestrian access to and around the building. The applicant is requesting a parking deviation for the proposed use. Based on an analysis of similar sites and uses, as well as latest ITE generation manual, the average parking demand rate for warehouse and small accessory office use is much less than what the current city code requires. We submitted a detailed narrative and parking study with our application showing that the proposed parking for this use is more than sufficient. For example, ITE estimates the parking demand for this warehouse with small office use to be only 37 spaces, and we are providing 78 parking spaces. Additionally, the total office square footage in the proposed industrial use is 7,000 total square feet, which would require 28 parking spaces per code for this use alone. However, each of these bays will only have approximately 1,700 square feet of office, that accessory office space that we talked about. And 7 parking spaces would be required for each of those tiny little office spaces. Per the code, plus the parking for the entire warehouse space, when for this type of warehouse distribution, there may be only a handful of people or employees in the entire space. The proposed uses on the property will not be open to the public, and the applicant has voluntarily agreed to restrict certain permitted uses in the B3 that typically have larger parking needs, such as vocational schools, retail establishments, and indoor recreational uses. This application was reviewed by the city's traffic engineering consultant and was found to be sufficient, as the uses permitted on site would be restricted to industrial uses not catering to the public and would therefore not require as many parking spaces. The applicant is also requesting to vacate a 15-foot right-of-way at the rear of the 1498 parcel that is unused and not traversable. Portions of this right-of-way have already been abandoned, including the portion behind the applicant's 1400 parcel. The area vacated will be cleaned up and used as part of the landscape buffer for this project. The property line and proposed landscaping will be consistent with the 1400 parcel. As you can see on the top photograph, and what looks just to the north of the pavement is what it looks like today. It is unused and filled with unruly landscaping and debris. This portion of the right-of-way, once abandoned, will be replanted with trees and landscaping to beautify this rear of the building and the property. The right-of-way abandonment application was also reviewed and approved by the abutting neighbor. Applicant is also processing a plat for the property. The 1400 parcel on the right-hand side was already platted, but we're going to combine the 1400, the 1498, and that 15-foot strip and include it into one platted parcel. The plat will be restricted to the 71,248 square feet of warehouse use. We had a noticed public participation meeting, and the only person that showed up was somebody interested in leasing the building when it was done. On January 8th, we appeared before the Community Appearance Board, and they unanimously approved and recommended. And on March 6th, the Planning and Zoning Board also unanimously approved the project. Staff has recommended approval of the application and found them consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code. And we believe this will be a great addition to this area and a needed improvement. We want to thank staff again for their support and their assistance with this project, and thank you all for your time tonight. And if you have any questions, our development team is here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Before we get into commission comments, we'll go to the public and then we'll come back. So don't go far in case you have any questions. Madam Clerk, let's start online. Is there anyone online that has like to speak on this? Is there anybody in the commission chamber that'd like to speak on items 4, 5, or 6?
James McGarry, 1442 Southeast 6th Street, Deerfield Beach. I'm not familiar where this is located in terms of Hillsborough Boulevard. Is it accessed off of Hillsborough Boulevard?
The applicant will. She's taking good notes. Ask your questions and all the questions will be answered at the
My
end.
question is, if the main exit from the parcel is Hillsborough Boulevard. I'm sorry?
It is not.
Okay, that was my only question.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else like to speak? No, I'm going to close the public hearing. Any questions from my colleagues? Commissioner Hudak, Heidi, if you want to come back up to the microphone, please, just in case.
This one's actually for Eric, with regards to the parking deviation. Any concerns from staff?
Eric Bauer, Director of Plan Development Services. The agreement was actually requested by staff to ensure that parking will not be an issue in the future. You know, sometimes industrial uses which are permitted in these like a gymnasium or athletic center, they can create a lot of parking. And, you know, this use truly wants to be industrial warehouse. So we're just ensuring that the parking matters.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Plow?
Thank you, Mayor. I had the pleasure to review this the first time as the chair of the Planning and Zoning Board. I like the project. I have heard one comment from the public about the city vacating their property, but obviously when you look at the dimensions, it's an unusual piece of property. I agree with vacating that property, and I like the plat joining the two adjacent properties for a new modern building. The building is built in the 1960s, so we're looking to do the math there, 40, 50, 60, you know,
Mhm.
60-year, I'm sure that the landscaping in our code 60 years ago probably wasn't as good as it is now, you know?
True. That is true.
And the pictures prove that. It would be a much better look for that. So the present landscaping is bad. I also like the site plan. I agree with the reduction of parking. We're gonna, you're asking a variance to go down 25 spaces. It makes sense because this is not a retail outlet. It's a commercial outlet. So you shouldn't have that many parking spaces delegated. I see at least 2 ADA spaces
Yeah.
in the front of the building. Did I see that right?
On both sides, I think.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, I like it. I think it's a good project. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Before we go forward, I should have done this at the beginning. Madam Clerk?
Pursuant to ordinance 2009-006, City of Deerfield Beach Code of Ethics, the applicant's representative made the following campaign contribution. Mayor Todd Drosky, $750 on February 26, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve item 4.
Second.
Motion to approve item 4, the vacating and abandoning of the 15 feet of right-of-way by Commissioner Hudak, seconded by Commissioner Plout. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? No? Let the record show unanimous consent. Item 5.
Motion to approve item 5.
Second.
Motion to approve item number 5 by Commissioner Hudak, seconded by Vice Mayor Preston. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No? Let the record show unanimous consent.
Motion to
Finally,
approve item
item
6.
number 6.
Motion to approve item number 6.
Seconded.
Motion to approve item number 6 by Commissioner Plout, seconded by Commissioner Shinetsky. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Nobody? Let the record show unanimous consent. Thank you very much. Look forward to the addition to our city.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Mr. City Attorney, number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 7 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, considering a sign variance for Sprouts Farmers Market, case number 784, to permit a total building sign area of 149 square feet in lieu of the 100 square foot maximum building sign area permitted by code for the Sprouts Farmers Market located at 3701 West Hillsborough Boulevard, Deerfield Beach, providing for an effective date. And because this is a sign variance, just a reminder to the commission, this will require a 4/5 affirmative vote in order to approve it.
Mr. City Manager, who's going to be making the presentation tonight? Is the applicant here?
Yes.
And Mr. City Attorney, you're going to see if they're going to waive or not, since it's quasi judicial.
Yes, sir. You do have the right to a more formal process, cross-examination of witnesses, swearing in of witnesses, et cetera, or you can waive that more formal process and go under an informal process. Do you choose to waive?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
Good answer.
Apologies about that. Hi, guys. Hello, my name is Leo Figueroa. I'm with Paragon Development. The address is 12565 Orange Drive, Suite 402, Davie, Florida, 3330. We are representing the tenant of this project, which is Sprouts Farmers Market. The purpose of today is to basically seek the sign variance, as mentioned before. The code says that we have to abide by 100 square feet of total signage area. In this case, we are proposing to do a total of 149 square feet. Through countless different meetings and different ideas between ourselves and the Planning and Zoning Department, with their help, we were able to come up with this final number of 149 square feet. Usually Sprouts Farmers Markets, if you've seen any of the other ones, they usually have secondary signage of like organic and fresh. So the original intent was more than what we're asking for today. So in order to accommodate with what Sprouts is trying to envision, and as well as to try to accommodate what Deerfield Beach allows us to do, we're able to come up to that 149 square feet in order to obtain the total area that we have on that front face. One of the things with the 149 square feet is, again, this project is located off the intersection of Power Line and Hillsborough. Coming down from Power Line, there's a lot of vegetation, a lot of landscaping, a lot of trees. There's also a big distance from the sidewalk towards the front of the building. If we were to follow the 100 square feet, I mean, the sign would be there, but I think it wouldn't be as visible as to try to navigate, any patrons that want to go to the Sprouts Farmers Market. The neighbor Ross has about the same size of sign that we're trying to approach. We're not really trying to get any bigger than them, and we have not heard any opposing reason from them to not have this sign. I think that, again, with the help with the Planning and Zoning Department, we came with this sign variance back in February 26th in front of the Community Appearance Board meeting. At that time, the committee did approve with the sign variance, and then here we are tonight to present it to you guys, and hopefully you guys will be able to support us as well. That's all I have for today, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Just stay close, sit in the front row if you don't mind, please. Madam Clerk, is there anybody online that would like to speak on item number 7? Is there anybody in the commission chamber who'd like to speak on item 7 this evening?
I like to
Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing.
say something.
You have to push your button, Commissioner Shinesky.
It's below you, Commissioner.
Oh, that's mine. That's yours. Okay. All right. Excellent. All right.
But Mr. Plout had his button pushed first, so. And it's your district, Mr. Plout, so please go ahead.
Well, thanks to staff for putting my name on that button. That was very helpful. So, sir, I live in the area. I remember when it was in Albertsons. You're right. If you're traversing south on Power Line Road, all the foliage that is there and a berm to shield the quadplexes that are along there give you a very short span of attention to be able to turn your head and see the sign on that building. Okay. Plus, there's a red light there next to the mobile, so you're going to have to stop as well. So chances are you probably won't turn your head. But if you do, it would be helpful for the sign. Also, what I learned from Mr. Power over there in the back, our planning director, was that a lot of our district was built back in the 80s, where the site plans had the buildings recessed back with the parking up in front. Our shopping center across from that is the same way as that. So I would be in favor of the sign being a little bit bigger so people can see it. I think it's a good project. Little competition maybe for the other produce areas and Publix across the street, but no comments on the business actually other than that. But for the sign, I would be in favor of that.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shinesky?
Okay. My District 3 is right next to District 4. A lot of my residents shop in that area. Now, I remember the store before, it was a Michael's.
Correct.
And I remember Michael's had a big sign. It was just, people could really see it. Now, the other thing is, besides the Sprouts, and Sprouts is sprouting up all over. I know in Coconut Creek, it's coming. It's really sprouting up all over. Great. I know across the street, like Ed said, there's a Publix. Around the corner is an Aldi's, and across the street is a Target's, and they all have large signs. So I think this is an excellent thing. I think it's excellent for our community, both District 3 and 4, and I'm definitely in favor of this big sign.
Thank you.
I'm going to concur with my colleagues and the applicant. The distance between the sidewalk and the store is so great that you absolutely need the bigger sign. Otherwise, you wouldn't see it. The setback is so far. So I have no problem with the variance request in this particular situation. Is someone would care to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve this variance.
Okay. The city attorney and I were looking at each other. We're waiting for the approve part.
Yep.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Shinesky,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Plout. We can do voice vote on this one. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Let the record show unanimous consent. Congratulations. Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time.
Mr. City Attorney, we're up to number 8.
Item number 8 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Deerfield Beach, Florida, considering a technical deviation application from New Hope Brazilian Baptist Church, Inc. in accordance with Section 98-88Q of the Deerfield Beach Land Development Code to permit a church on the property located at 2100 to 2150 Southwest 10th Street, Suite A, to operate with a total of 32 allocated parking spots in lieu of the minimum 73 parking spots required by code. Case number 2635, providing for conflict severability and an effective date. And sir, after you state your name and address for the record, if you could let me know on the record whether or not you waive the more formal quasi-judicial process. Thank you.
My name is Rafael Martins. I'm the general contractor for the proposed project of the church at this new location, and I do waive.
Okay, thanks.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for your time today. I'm here to request the approval of a zoning technical deviation for New Hope Brazilian Baptist Church regarding off-street parking requirements. Our goal is to present a fair and reasonable case that considers the church's operational needs, the existing parking availability, and the intent of the zoning code. New Hope Brazilian Baptist Church is more than a place of worship. It is a cornerstone of the Brazilian and Latino local communities. Our congregation is deeply committed to fostering spiritual growth, education, and community support that uplift both our members and the broader community. The intended use of the space reflects our mission to provide a hub for worship, fellowship, and service. The weekly worship services, Bible study classes, and youth and family ministries will create an environment for spiritual enrichment. Our community outreach programs, including one-on-one pastoral counseling services, will offer guidance and support to those in need. Additionally, the church will house administrative functions essential for managing operations, coordinating events, and ensuring the continuity of our mission. Through these efforts, New Hope Brazilian Baptist Church aims to not only strengthen the faith of its congregation, but also to serve as a beacon of hope, unity, and cultural connection within Deerfield Beach. Deerfield Beach's zoning code requires churches to provide 1 parking space per 4 seats in the main auditorium. Based on the seating arrangement capacity in the proposed assembly area, this means we are required to have 73 spaces available during our service hours. However, strict enforcement of this requirement does not account for the actual usage patterns of our church and neighboring businesses. Our primary service is on Sunday mornings, when businesses in the same plaza, such as VA Outpatient Clinic, National Shell Contractors, and Geneva Group 2100 LLC are closed. This theoretically leaves 129 available spaces that can be used without disruption to neighboring businesses. Additionally, the property owner has granted us 83 designated spaces on Sundays, which exceeds the zoning requirement. On Wednesday evenings, we have a smaller gathering of about 50 attendees, requiring only 13 spaces following the code. By 5 p.m. on weekdays, all neighboring businesses have closed for the day, except Bakery 2000, once again making 129 spaces available for churchgoers without impacting any other tenants. Granting this deviation is not just reasonable, it is necessary for fair and equitable treatment. Strict enforcement of the code would impose an unnecessary hardship on our church, despite clear evidence that ample parking exists. The spirit of the zoning law is to prevent congestion and conflicts between businesses, but in this case, no such conflicts arise. Moreover, our collaboration with the property owner demonstrates a proactive approach to responsible parking management. We have worked diligently to ensure that our services operate in harmony with other tenants, and we will continue to do so. Denying this request would mean enforcing a regulation that does not align with the real-world usage of this property. It would create unnecessary barriers to a church that provides valuable services to the community, all while a perfectly viable parking solution already exists. In closing, I urge you to consider the unique circumstances of New Hope Brazilian Baptist Church. This deviation does not compromise the integrity of zoning regulations. Rather, it ensures that code is applied in a way that is fair, practical, and aligned with the realities of our shared community spaces. I respectfully ask for your support in granting this request. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Martins. Like everyone else, if you just stay close to the first row there in case we need you. Any questions, we'll come back to you. I appreciate your presentation. I think it was very thorough, and I think you laid out the issue very clearly for us, but we do need to go to public hearing. Madam Clerk, is there anyone online that would like to speak? Is there anyone in the commission chamber that would like to speak on item number 8 this evening? Seeing no one, we're going to close public hearing. Any comments from the commission? Commissioner Plout, you have your light on?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Also think you did a wonderful presentation. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. More churches, the better, I think. Definitely, not in our abbreviation here, but in the big packet, it talked about the actual operating hours of the other businesses there.
Yep.
And every time that there's a service, they're closed.
Yep.
And did I read there was some kind of agreement, not just from the person who owns the whole place, but the other businesses consented to that as well?
Only the hours of operation of the other businesses are in the packet, but the owner sent what he's granting us as parking spaces, which always exceeds what we need, essentially.
All right. I just like the idea that the other businesses are completely closed, so
yeah,
it sounds good to me. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Vice Mayor Preston.
I think if you do the math, you could see that it's warranted and the presentation was accurate. And it brings attention to exactly what the issue is. And you really did a good job in clearing that. I think it's the right thing to do. We can't just say any business or any body that comes in front of us asking for technical deviations, they ought to be granted. That's the reason that we're here, to look at these things individually and to vote on what is presented to us. What you did was good, it was authentic, it was clear. And so I think it's the right thing to do. And I think you met that clause for technical deviation. And I support it.
Thank you.
Is that a motion, Commissioner?
No, I'm going to let my colleague, if he wants to make that motion.
Okay, we're going to,
Okay.
I left, we're going to defer to you guys.
I'll make motion to approve agenda item number 8 for the Brazilian Baptist Church.
I second.
Okay, let's take.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Plout. I did hear Commissioner Shinetsky with the second first.
Okay.
Snatch.
Because it's a technical deviation, let's do roll call, please.
Commissioner Hudak,
Yes.
Commissioner Plout,
Yes.
Commissioner Shinetsky,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Preston,
Yes.
Mayor Drosky.
Yes.
We're now at the public comment portion of tonight's meeting.
You got
Persons
it.
addressing the commission.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you again for the presentation. Mr. City Attorney, before
yes,
you
sir.
go on to public comment, I do want to make a brief remark on that. The clerk has comment cards or sign up cards or whatever we're going to call them going forward. If you just want to hold one up going forward. So not only for public comment, but the individual items, we're going to ask that you sign up in advance. It's going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to make sure that we have order when it comes time to the public comment, so we can have an orderly presentation of who's going to speak. And in addition to that, there's an opportunity to put on their contact information. One of the things that I want to make sure is that we respond to your questions. A lot of times people come to the meeting and we're not able to give you an answer on the spot, but if you give us a way to contact you, a phone number, an email, or both, if we can't get your question answered that night, then at least we can follow up with you within 24, 48 hours maximum. So that's going to be the procedure. We're going to ease into it as we go forward. I'm not going to require it tonight, but we're going to try and get in that practice over the next couple meetings as we do that for not only public comment, but the agenda items as well, just so we can have a little more structure to it, because it's always been my opinion, especially when it comes to public comment, that this is not a question and answer session. We're all available. All of our phone numbers are online. Please contact us before a meeting. If you're having problems with staff or not getting your questions answered, then you can come, obviously, to commission and present it to us that night. But we'd like to have your questions resolved before you ever have to come here. But if you need to come, that is absolutely fine. That is your right to do so. But we want to be able to give you the best public service that we can and get that question that you have answered. So if you give us the contact information, we can research it and get back to you and probably give you a better answer after the fact than we could on the fly here. So we're going to ease into that as we go forward. We're going to give you more of the kind of the rules, but we just have the cards here tonight. But going forward, we'll give you more information as we go along. But I just wanted to make that quick announcement. And now, Mr. City Attorney, you can do your part.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Persons addressing the commission shall state his or her name and address and may speak for 3 minutes. This is the time for public comment on items that are not on tonight's agenda. If you had a public comment on an item that is on tonight's agenda, it's after the title for that agenda item is read into the record. The public comment period for that agenda item is opened. No comment shall be made related to the personal life or personal qualities of any person, and no language which would offend persons of ordinary sensibilities shall be permitted.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. We'll take those that may be online first. Is everybody online, Madam Clerk? Dan Hers, Mr. Hers?
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, my new name, according to Commissioner Hudak, who mentioned it 5 times in 2 minutes, is Disruptive Dan at 330 Southeast 19th Avenue. I wonder who wrote the commissioner's speech from last Tuesday. Is it the same person who wrote his speech on December 3rd before the commission meeting began, in direct violation of the quasi-judicial hearing that night, where each commissioner was supposed to hear all the evidence before voting? That's okay, because the commissioner's action that night are the basis for the lawsuit filed against the commission and the city. I saw the updated organizational chart for the city of Deerfield Beach for 2025, and it still had citizens at the very top, even higher than the city manager and the commissioners. I mention this because the BSO chief turned city manager does not want to answer the citizens' questions. I'm not sure what his reasoning is, but we will try again asking him and the city attorney some questions tonight. In the city's brochure, it states the International Fishing Pier is the crown jewel on our beach, attracting thousands of visitors and fishermen annually. Now that the election is over, can you update the citizens on when the pier will reopen? Regarding the December 4, 2024 letter that Danielle Rossi's attorney sent to the city of Deerfield Beach demanding $601,000 in damages, did the city pay her that money yet? Rossi's attorneys reveal in the same letter that it was upon the city's formal request that Danielle Rossi join the city's lawsuit against Tula Amana. Why did the city ask Danielle Rossi to join the lawsuit? Why hasn't Danielle Rossi begun paying her $17,500 monthly rent to the city for the Pier Restaurant property, which has now been vacant for over 4 months? On the campaign trail, I kept hearing widespread condemnation of Calvin Giordano and Associates, the company the city outsources code enforcement and permitting to. Is the city planning on ignoring the outcry from the residents and renewing their contract when it expires in less than 6 short months? The ex-mayor had asked David Santucci to explore the cost of bringing code enforcement and permitting in-house. Whatever happened to that study? Is it true if we keep Calvin Giordano and Associates, they will charge 40% more than their expiring $1 million per year contract? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hers. Madam Clerk, is anyone else online? Mrs. Bolowich, go ahead, please.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, terrific. Thank you for having me here tonight. There are 3 new bills moving through the Florida legislature that would significantly, I'm sorry, I'm reading and I don't have my glasses on. Significantly impact local and state land development regulations. Statewide impacts on our precious ecosystem are vitally important, but I want to focus on local impact here. Florida Senate Bill 1118 changes how land use decisions are made, limits local government authority, and requires a supermajority vote for comprehensive plan changes. House Bill 1209 supports the same idea of granting extended decision-making powers to developers and to the state of Florida. Both measures limit local government authority and require a supermajority vote for certain comprehensive plan changes. And I think if you ask around, you'll find bipartisan agreement that both of these bills dramatically accelerate overdevelopment and strip Deerfield Beach citizens and local government of the ability to control the direction or type of growth. They authorize landowners to apply for approval directly to Tallahassee, bypassing, in many cases, certain local government regulations and laws. Although the Access Project was a contentious issue between residents and the city, it's important to note that we do feel that our elected representatives to the city of Deerfield Beach and Broward County do all represent our best interests. As a lifelong Florida resident, I'm opposed to both of these bills, and I hope you are too. I hope Deerfield Beach and Broward County both wish to retain local authority over local land. And tonight, I would like to ask everyone on the dais what your position is on these bills. If you're in opposition, how are you making your voices heard? Time is of the essence. If you're not in opposition, could you please explain why? Also, I would like to ask, please, Commissioner Hudak, can you help us understand the impact of the bills that just passed yesterday, SB 954 and HB 1163, relating to recovery residences and how they impact Deerfield Beach? I think that's everything. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Anyone else online, Madam Clerk? Okay, we'll go to public comment for those in the commission chamber. Former Commissioner Battle. Welcome.
Right.
Good evening, Gloria Battle. You have to excuse me. I'm dealing with some vertigo issues here. Address 1240 Southwest 6th Way, Deerfield Beach, Florida. Quick question. I know we went from code enforcement to code, what was it? Compliance. I called code the office and I am very concerned that one of my new neighbors moved in on 11th Drive and he does not have a pathway to get his boat in the back. So for the last 5 months, the boat has been sitting in the front yard. When I called code said, well, you need to take pictures and bring it to us. I don't think that is a decision that should be left up to the citizen. If a citizen calls in complaining about something like a boat on the front lawn, the least code can do is come out and cite them. I don't know if they cited them or not, but I'm really complaining about that because I have to drive that way to get to my house. And it really does not look good. It makes my neighborhood looks much worse. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else that would like to speak? Mr. Scott?
Good evening. Terry Scott, 180 Southwest 3rd Avenue. I don't know, and I believe this would, Mr. Mayor, to be looked at by our city manager. The disturbance that is posted on Facebook, a child running, I'm going to say from BSO, and a deputy car looked like it was to hit the child on just yesterday. A disturbing video that is out on social media. Now, Deerfield, we look at everything. I don't know why we have not looked at that. But the community is making comments on Facebook, Mr. Mayor and City Manager, about the incident. We don't need uproars in the community with BSO, and BSO don't need it from the community. We need to be trying to walk hand in hand. It's been quiet thus far in Deerfield with BSO, but when these kind of things come up, somebody need to address that to put out this fire before this blaze get bigger. So if we can please look into this incident of what happened, because as I see young people sitting here this evening, explorers, we want to keep that kind of nature in the city where our kids are not afraid of BSO. And I did look at the video and I did see an officer run to jump on, and he did, a child that looked to be somewhere between 13 to 14 years of age. That didn't look good. And I don't care who it is, it doesn't look good. So if we can please just look at that, because again, we want safety and protection all over our city, just not in one community, but all over the city. BSO is here to serve and to protect. And we want our community to know that, and our kids to be able to trust BSO. So we need to just try to put down this fire right now before it turns into a bigger blaze. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Mr. Callen?
Dean Cowan, 3250 Southwest Second Court. I want to address something, Mr. Mayor, what you had started with when you got sworn into office about doing something to enhance getting contractors into our city and doing better work and doing more things as you want to have development. And I agree with you that we need that. One of the problems that I found trying to get a permit just to even do a driveway, it's a nightmare. And it's not getting any better. I had the opportunity to meet with our city manager, and we had a long conversation about the other day. I actually had to make the attorney wait for him for the meeting, and I don't regret that. But we need to start solving some problems. We have a problem with the way the contractors view our city. They don't want anything to do with it because the process to not only get vetted, but to pull the permits is very antiquated. I know going down there several times myself trying to get my own permit, that it really is a nightmare. You don't know where to go, what to do. You get papers more than once because someone's name isn't on there correctly. They have to make changes, and it's just not viable to try and do it. That's why more people are saying, hey, not only do we not want to hire a contractor, we'll do it ourselves, which is something, of course, you guys don't want. But we're getting contractors in here that they kind of don't meet the standards of what we're looking for at our city either, because they're the ones that'll sit and wait for it because they don't have the work otherwise. I think a lot of it also starts to, that we need to change is also looking at our codes in our city. I know that you and I served on the board together many years ago. And also, as was just talked about on one of the things that, we have buildings that were built in the 60s. Well, personally, I was built in the 60s, and I don't have a problem with that. But I understand about buildings. And we need to start looking at what we're doing now for the living conditions of the people now in the neighborhoods, the needs of the people now in our city, and what could help make it a little bit easier for people to not only live in our city, but to attract people to our city. So my suggestion was to maybe put together a board for that, to oversee or review the codes that are on file now and go through them methodically and see what changes we can make in a positive direction for the city, which will help people want to be here, help the permitting get a little bit more online so it could happen quicker than it is now. And it should have been done already. I don't see why it hasn't been. But these are things that we need to look at. Also the fees. I went for my fee, and my fee for my simple driveway was $350 something. Most of that was for an engineering fee. I asked how they came up with the number. It's 6% of the total. No one's been able to give me a direct answer. Who came up with that total? My neighbor across the street doing his fee was $845 to do a circular driveway for $9,800. In Sunrise, the same contractor pulled a permit to do a driveway, which was $15,000, a circular driveway. Their permitting fee was $275. May I finish for a minute?
There is no additional minute.
No
sorry.
additional? I'm done then. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name's James Gorman at address 2896 Northeast 13th Avenue. I was told by the permit department to come here and state my case. I'm in the seawall construction. I've been doing it for 40 years. I had a permit for a seawall around the corner here on 6th Ave. Met the inspector out there 2 or 3 times. He said, put the revisions in and I'll sign them. So I put them in the box, didn't think about it. Next thing you know, the inspector doesn't work for us anymore. So a month went by. I have the paperwork to prove it, that I put it in the box and everything. Then I get a call I gotta hurry up. 319 for the city of engineer said that he needs my COI, certificate of insurance, for the revision that we put in. I didn't know when you put in the revision, the permit keeps on ticking. They want like $1,900 to reinstate my permit, and I didn't make the mistake. I trusted the inspector saying, put the revisions in the box and he'll sign off on it. And that's all I got. I've been dealing with this in Broward County for 40 years. I just want to reinstate the permit and not pay the fee.
Thank you, Mr. Gorman. Mr. City Manager, can you have someone from staff talk to Mr. Gorman before he leaves, please?
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Angel Santana. I'm at 533 Northeast First Avenue, just over the tracks. I've been residing there now roughly about a good 17 years. And, paid mine, but never really paid too much mind was taking place within Northeast First Avenue. That street itself is becoming, to me, like a dumpster. Due to the fact that the dock that was there before that was bought out, it's vacant land. So, people are starting to come, dumping trash, things of that nature, tires, things of that nature. And I took the time and opportunity to talk to Mr. Preston, which he gave me the time, very well spoken. And coming today to tell you guys that I understand it's not a city issue because it's private property. But in regards to that, then whose issue is it? Because it becomes my issue. Because all the trash and things of that nature that is there, it resides there. So if nobody's picking it up, then who's going to take care of it? On top of that, turning into Northeast First Avenue, that entrance is a very, very eyesore. As you turn into that street itself, it's a dumpster, it's dirt. That a company that dumps dirt there, been there forever. But as they do their business, they leave dirt all over the place. As they leaving out, dirt is tracked. As they coming in, dirt is tracked. So it's an eyesore from as you turn it into Northeast First Avenue. On top of that, there's a church that's being built. There's construction there as well. So as we pulling in and out of that street of itself, it's just a tremendous eyesore. I just tremendously feel that if it's going to be construction there, I know there's gated up, put the green thing that people can't see in and out of it. But as you come into that street, it just does not look bad. It's trash all over the place, and it's just an eyesore.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Santana. Again, Mr. City Manager, if we could have someone talk to him, obviously, if it's a concern for Mr. Gorman and Santana to come tonight, these sound like code issues.
Thank you.
But thank you. Yes, sir. On the microphone, name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Cal Sharp. I live at 800 Northwest 41st Court, Deerfield Beach, 33064.
Code enforcement issue?
Code enforcement. Again, I'm here today to call your attention to a longstanding issue with parking in the neighborhood with particular attention to the cul-de-sac in front of my home. It's important to make you aware that I do not have, and it never has been in the 33 years that I've lived in that neighborhood, a homeowners association. So you're all familiar with what a homeowners association presents and protects its residents from, especially in parking. So moving on, over the last 24 months, I have had to rely on Captain Adam Hofstein and the Broward Sheriffs to help me with illegal parking problems. He and his team have made real progress, but now they need his and we need additional help. Just a little history. A few years ago, residents of the East Ridge homes that border my residence started to cut down hedges and their own fence to make a roadway through my property or my street into theirs to create traffic. Again, a police report was made, it was handled, and let me give you at this time, again, this folder that has pictures.
Need to give it to the clerk, please, at the end. She'll make sure it gets distributed. Thank you.
So what was, you see in those notes that I gave you, a ordinance from the city to allow me to prepare or erect a fence at my expense to close off that street altogether, so they can't do that. So in the last days, 90 days, the cul-de-sac was twice filled with vehicles on a weekend night, totally blocking the roadway, including my driveway and 2 neighbors west of me. I reported to the police, they responded. There's a report and file. A week later, on a weekend night, there was, without exaggeration, over 25 vehicles parked in the cul-de-sac, blocking the entire driveways, blocking the street totally. There was no way to move in and out of those streets at all. The cul-de-sac was destroyed. Almost every day and night, without exception, vehicles are parked in the street in various directions, which those pictures show that I just gave you. And for years, with cars, trucks, commercial vehicles, with trailers, vehicles with engines running, loud music at all hours of the night. It's a free-for-all, unfortunately. All the actions totally eliminate the purpose of the safety provisions of a cul-de-sac for emergency access. Emergency vehicle access for fire trucks, ambulances, to navigate the street effectively, delivery vehicles, garbage pickup, mail delivery, and for me to exit my own property in an emergency. The problem is serious and ongoing, but fortunately, the situation is a lot simpler to cure. Okay, there is a simple problem to cure it. The solution I'm asking you tonight is simply to create an ordinance which will define the entire cul-de-sac in front of my home as a no parking tollway zone. Problem? Serious. Solution? Simple. That's all I'm asking for the city to do in absence of a cul-de-sac.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Mr. City Attorney, if we, City Manager rather, if we could look into that. I know we've done situations with parking in the past, so if we could look into that and get in touch with Mr. Sharp, I would appreciate it. We're gonna pass the folder down to you, but I do want to look at the pictures.
Do we have any
before.
questions?
I think, has staff already been in contact with you to talk about that cul-de-sac, or is it a different cul-de-sac I'm thinking of?
They've been out there several times. The staff has not.
Okay.
The most attention I've gotten is from Adam Hofstein.
Yeah, I know they've been out there, and then,
But there's been no attempt to create a no parking zone there.
No, I know. I think that's the most recent recommendation, but I'm just wondering, Horace McHugh or Eric or anybody like that talk to you yet?
No.
If you could have staff get in touch with Mr. Sharp, that'd be greatly appreciated. If you could stay so we get your contact information, sir.
Thank you for allowing me the privilege of your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes. Anyone else that would like to speak this evening for public comment? Chance? Okay, we're going to close public comment. Mr. City Attorney, items 9, 10, and 11 are on consent.
As you said it, Mr. Mayor, items 9 through 11 are currently on consent.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on items 9, 10, or 11? Anyone online, Madam Clerk? Okay, we'll start with Mr. Hers. And just tell us which item you'd like to speak on, please.
Okay, if you can hear me, it's item number 9.
We can hear you, yes.
I'm not quite sure why an item as important as number 9 is buried in the consent agenda. There are so many unanswered questions that need to be answered about this item, so let's start with what procedural changes has the city made to ensure that something like this does not happen again? Fairly recent vehicle purchases from 2023 were made, but not added to the capital asset system. What assurances do the taxpayers have that the city does not have other capital assets that were procured but not added to the books? The proposed resolution states, whereas Rule 69I-73.005 of the Florida Administrative Code sets forth the methods of disposition of property and requires that the authority for disposition of property be by resolution of the City Commission and properly recorded in the minutes pursuant to Section 274.07 Florida statutes. But we have an example right now of this not being followed. There is an advertisement running on an auction site called Bidera.com, where the city is selling 85 old beach garbage cans. Why was this not pre-approved by the commission before being placed on an auction site and going up for sale? What other assets are up for sale or have been sold or disposed of without commission approval? In the fixed asset adjustment summary in the backup on page 377, the only assets being added are vehicles. Is there a reason why the vehicles were not added previously? And what corrective action has been taken to ensure that this does not occur again? What assurances do the taxpayers have that there is other equipment that was not added as required? Further in the backup, it shows the asset detail of all items disposed. Were any of the items actually sold or even sold for scrap metal? And if so, why is there no information as to the date of sale and the price that these items were sold for, if any? An awful lot of unanswered questions for an item like this to be put on consent agenda, don't you think?
Thank you, Mr. Hers. Madam Clerk, is there anyone else online? Is there anyone in the commission chamber that would like to speak on items 9, 10, or 11? Seeing nobody, we're going to close the public hearing. Commission?
Motion to approve items 9, 10, and 11.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Hudak for items 9, 10, and 11. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Preston. Looks like we can do voice vote on this one. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Let the record show unanimous consent. Mr. City Attorney.
We are now at comments by administration and legal. No comments from legal tonight.
Two quick comments from city manager. One is that, as you're aware, we undergo many different kinds of evaluations and audits throughout the year. And I did want to share with you, because the Center for Active Aging has been getting a lot of publicity lately. We did just undergo the Area Agency on Aging for Broward County did our essentially an audit for the 6-month timeframe, and they were very pleased with what they saw, with no findings of any kind whatsoever. And we're very happy with the programs that we have in place over there. So I wanted to share that with the commission and the residents as well. The second one is something that came up very recently in February. There was an executive order that was passed by the governor to enact a DOGE system for Florida through the Executive Office of the Governor. That was sent out to all the 411 municipalities, cities, and had criteria in it for which cities would be scrutinized through the DOGE system or recommended for that. I responded to the governor's request for that, and our city does not meet any of the criteria. So we have responded to that. I know that was an issue of public interest at some point, so I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we responded on that timely to the governor's office, that we do not meet any of the criteria outlined in his executive order for any further scrutiny from the city, on the city. And that's all.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mr. Shinsky, if you don't mind, we'll wait to commission comments at the end. Your light is on. Do you?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was,
No. The inadvertent elbow push?
elbow, sorry.
No problem. Mr. City Attorney, 12 and 13.
We are now at City Commission business. Item number 12 is consideration to approve the voting delegates to the 2025-2026 Board of Directors for the Broward League of Cities.
I'd like to, could you read 13 too? I'd like to take
Sure.
them together.
Item number 13 is consideration to appoint a representative to the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization Board. we will need separate votes on each one of these. Thank you.
So I'll jump in first if that's okay, since there's no lights on. So 12 and 13, I'd like to discuss together, but we need to, again, vote separately on them. With respect to the item 13, the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization, the past member from the city commission was Mayor Gans, and Mayor Gans obviously has term limited. I would like to take that position if it's okay with my colleagues, because we have the Southwest 10th Street project, which is right on our doorstep. And so I've had a lot of experience on that for like the last 12 years before I was elected. That's going to become a very critical project in our city as we move forward. And so I would like to be involved. If there's anything that goes wrong with that project, I want to be the first one to have my shoe up their butt on that particular issue. So I think I'd like to step into that role, which means that on number 12, we had good news and bad news is I have been involved with the Broward League of Cities for a long time, but as past president of that organization, I automatically have a position on the executive committee. So that leaves an open spot for someone else to assume that role. So in essence, Deerfield would, when you have like two votes, we'd have me as the past president and then one of you as well. And then so I think in the discussion on number 12 is who amongst the four of you would like that position and who would like to grow into that role, because maybe one day you too could become president of the Broward League of Cities. But I will say it takes a while to go through that process. You have to kind of learn the organization and work your way through it and come up through the ranks, so to speak. So it's not something that happens overnight. Look, it took me 7 years to become president of that organization. So if someone wants to aspire to that, now would probably be the time to jump in. So I just say that as far as your debate and collaboration on who that individual is going to be for number 12 for the Broward League of Cities. But I would like to be the appointee to the MPO for number 13. And I believe in number 12, I think there's, I don't have the backup rating for me in a second. Is it 3, Madam Clerk? So we pick 3 for that position. And I will also say, so if you're considering for the Broward League of Cities as well, keep in mind, they do have a monthly lunch, which is the first Thursday of the month, and it rotates amongst the cities in Broward County, the 31 cities. Obviously, there's not 31 lunches in a 12-month year, but it is all over the city. So it could be anywhere from Deerfield to Miramar and Weston to Fort Lauderdale and everywhere in between. So that's at noon. And then they have on the last Thursday of the month, the general membership meeting as well, in addition to the annual conference, which typically is in Orlando. And then that's for the Florida League of Cities, but the Broward League of Cities, excuse me, they have their annual conference usually at Margaritaville in June. So there is a time commitment to it and a meeting commitment to it as well. So keep that in mind if you want to put your name into the hat for number 12. So I throw that out there. And that's my thoughts on 12 and 13. Again, we'll have to vote on them separately. And I don't know whose light was on first, so we'll go with Commissioner Hudak.
I know Commissioner Plott wanted to be with the MPO, so I would nominate him as a first alternate.
Do we have alternates to MPO? Oh. So it's just one and done for 13.
All right, then I'll
Well, let's see what Commissioner Plott, he has his light on. Let's see what he has to say.
Okay, what I had to say was I, of course, had my eye on MPO because we share the district, but you're the guy with 10 years experience dealing with those folks and you are the mayor. And, but I want to do something. I'm the full-time guy. So I would jump on 12 or anything anybody else wants me to do. I got plenty of time. This is all I do. I want to get more and more involved.
Okay, thank you. So let's start with number 12. So Commissioner Plott has indicated an interest to be the voting delegate to the Broward League of Cities. Is there anyone else between Commissioner Hudak, Commissioner Shinetsky, or Vice Mayor Preston that would be interested in the first position with the Broward League of Cities? Let's start that way.
I'll nominate Commissioner Plott.
So we need a second and a third. So I don't mind being in the pecking order to cover since I'm going to already be there as past president. But if somebody else wants to be in the line, I mean, I'm okay with that too. I don't mind being second or third.
I'll nominate mayor for second and I'll take third, unless somebody else wants it.
Any discussion amongst my colleagues? Don't light all the lights up at once, guys. So is that a motion, Commissioner, for number 12 to
Yes, sir.
have the voting delegate order of Plout, Drosky, and Hudak for the Broward League of Cities?
That's my motion. I'm looking for a second.
I second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Shanetsky. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I guess we need to go to public comment.
Did I just accept this sentence?
No, let's,
Joking.
I'm getting used to this position as well. So let's back up. We did vote on it. Mr. City Attorney, is it okay to open to
Sure.
public
Go ahead,
hearing?
open it to the public and.
So is there anyone online, Madam Clerk? Mr. Hers, go ahead, please.
Hi, Dan Hers, 330 Southeast 19th Avenue. Just a quick question. I understand that this year on June 7th, 2025 is the gala of the Broward League of Cities. I'm just curious if this year the commission is also planning on spending what they spent last year, which was $10,000 of the taxpayers' money for a platinum sponsorship. So I just wanted to know if we're planning on doing that again this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Anyone else online? Anyone in the commission chamber on number 12 with respect to the Broward League of Cities? Seeing nobody, close the public hearing. Mr. City Attorney, are we okay with the vote and then the post-vote public comment?
Yes.
Or do we need to vote again?
For this item, you can vote again if you, makes you feel more comfortable, but I'm comfortable. Item number 12.
If you're comfortable, I'm comfortable. Yes. Well, she can comment. I mean, was it after the votes? She can talk on number 13. So we'll go to number 13 and we'll call on Representative Clark Reed. Go ahead, Representative.
Thank you, Mayor. Gwen Clark Reed, 1430 Southwest 6th Way. I just wanted to say how important it is as a past president myself from the Broward League of Cities and to understand the city's representation and what it means for commissioners to really be involved. Yes, it is a time-consuming position, and I just applaud the person that has volunteered to take that position. But the other commissioners should not be afraid to go to those meetings also. If, you know, just for learning, you need to get as much knowledge about what's going on with Broward County and the state of Florida, particularly with the new legislations that are coming forth and from the from Tallahassee. So thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Representative. And you were 100% right about the time commitment, but also the lunch, Commissioner Plout, is for the executive committee, which would be you as our voting member. But the monthly general membership meetings on the Thursday evenings is open to all of us. So I would recommend that any 5 of us, if you're available to go, please go. It just doesn't have to be Mr. Plout and myself. Please come. Those are typically in Fort Lauderdale or Dania Beach is where those have typically been held. But that's open to all 5 of us to go, and I would encourage you to go to those as well as to any of the other events that the Board of Broward League of Cities sponsors to get the information and to get out there and represent Deerfield Beach as well. So thank you for that comment, Representative. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? We're kind of doing 12 and 13 together here. Seeing no one, Madam Clerk, we'll check online one more time. Okay, now we're on to number 13.
Make a motion for our mayor to be the appointee.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hudak to approve me as the representative of the MPO, seconded by Vice Mayor Preston. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No, let the record show unanimous consent. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your confidence in me. And I know with Southwest 10th Street coming up, we're going to have a little battle on our hands as we always have. Mr. City Attorney, number 14, please.
Item-
And if you could dive into that one too. I know it has my name on it, but if you could take it, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Item number 14 is discussion of potential action regarding county ordinances related to the Monarch Hill landfill expansion. The commission, and this is sponsored by Mayor Drosky, the commission may recall a couple of meetings ago, the commission voted to participate in the existing Chapter 164 dispute resolution process between Coconut Creek and Broward County. Additionally, as part of that approval, the commission voted to retain Mr. Ralph DeMaio, the outside counsel who Coconut Creek had previously retained to represent the city in the Chapter 164 process. Mr. DeMaio is online. There he is. I see him. Ralph from Gilday Law is online. In case you have any questions, Coconut Creek did submit some filings, which I believe you all have copies of, or they were shared with you. And so Mr. DeMaio is online and here to answer any questions that you have. And the filings are related to challenging the ordinances that were passed by the county commission with respect to the landfill expansion.
I know we all had the opportunity to speak to the attorney in advance, but if anyone wanted to ask any questions tonight in public, now is your opportunity to do so. Yes?
Yeah.
Mr. Shinesky?
Yes, hi, I have a
Or
question.
Commissioner Shinesky, sorry.
I'm sorry. I have a question. I was reading the report and what you sent. Basically, they're saying that the host fee is not being split between Broward County, Coconut Creek, and Deerfield Beach. Could you explain that?
Yes, sir, and thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm presently representing you all as well as Coconut Creek in the Chapter 164 proceeding, which is a dispute assessment process in advance of litigation. Exempt from that process are the comprehensive plan challenges. We filed last week 2 challenges because of the 2 different types of comprehensive plan ordinances that were filed. One was in the Division of Administrative Hearings in Tallahassee. That's an administrative challenge. The other was in Circuit Court in Broward County. The issues there have to do with consistency with the comp plan, and we strongly believe that the decisions made by the county were completely inconsistent and even contrary to the recommendations of the Planning Council and the Land Development Authority, Solid Waste Authority. So the issue of host fees is not directly relevant to what the work is that we're doing right now on behalf of Deerfield Beach and Coconut Creek. But having said that, to answer your question, Commissioner, Coconut Creek and Deerfield Beach and any other municipality would not share the host fee. That's a Broward County share alone.
Anything else, Commissioner?
No, not at this time.
Do we need to take any action tonight, Mr. City Attorney?
Well, I think one of the potential actions you could take is whether or not to join in on the action that Coconut Creek filed, or the 2 actions that Coconut Creek filed. That's something for your consideration.
Okay, I think we'll do that. But before I apologize, Commissioner, Vice Mayor, I missed your light. So, Vice Mayor?
Yes, my question to you is, in plain English, what is your basic assertion?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Our basic assertion is that the decisions of the Broward County Commission were directly contrary to and inconsistent with the approved comprehensive plan, and therefore were illegal actions, and we are suing to overturn those actions. And that would then not allow Waste Management to significantly expand their landfill, which would be a detriment to public health, safety, and welfare and to the environment, and would disproportionately impact Deerfield Beach and Coconut Creek.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Shinesky, I
Yeah.
assume you have a
Yeah.
question or a motion?
Well, I have a question. Basically, Broward Waste Authority Isn't there a report supposed to come out in August 2025, their full report, which would address, and this is something that I don't feel that Broward County Planning addressed. It would address the air and water quality studies. It would also address the dust and debris mitigation, the odor control measures, a traffic study, the impact on drainage and toxic leakage from that Mount Trashmore, the noise control, the evaluation of health impact, and the evaluation of property value. Aren't those things that will come out with a Broward Waste Authority report, which is slated to come out in August 2025, that Broward Planning Commission on these hearings several months ago never addressed?
Excellent question, Commissioner. And yes, you are right. The Solid Waste Authority is in the process of evaluating, and in their most recent report said that they did not recommend that the county move forward with these amendments at this time until they completed the review to assure that it was consistent with the master plan. And all of those items that you mentioned, Commissioner, have yet to be evaluated fully. The report will come out in August. We strongly recommended at the adoption hearing before the county that they at least wait till that. And they said, no, we don't have to. We're going to go forward now. The other thing to understand is the Broward County Land Planning Council and planning staff have already on the record said that these amendments are inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. So for whatever reason, the county commission is doing Waste Management's bidding on this, and it is contrary to the law and contrary to the public interest, in our opinion.
Make one more comment? Sorry.
Of course, you still have the light.
Okay. All right. What bothers me is this. In doing research in 2008, Waste Management wanted to expand from 225 feet to 280 feet, the dump, and it was denied and they withdrew. In 2020, and I was at that hearing in 2020, they tried to expand from 225 feet to 325 feet, the same thing that's going on that was voted on in February 2025. And Broward committee unanimously disapproved it. So now the same exact argument is thrown up 2-3 years later with no variation, more evidence from Waste Management of why they want to expand it. And now it's suddenly passed. I don't like that inconsistency. Just 2-3 years ago, it was shut down unanimously. Now it's brought up again, recycled again, no new arguments from Waste Management, and suddenly it's approved. I don't like that. And I really feel that Deerfield Beach should combine with Coconut Creek and fight against this to expand it, because it's going to hurt our citizens. That's the bottom line.
Ralph, if we just leave it like that, I don't know that I want to, disclose our full legal strategy out in the public and tell Waste Management to show them our hand. So I think the commissioner's comments will suffice, and we'll take his motion going forward.
And I'll second it.
I don't think there was a motion, but
Words in your mouth.
Is there a motion?
Does he need to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to move forward and
Is that to direct outside counsel to make the necessary filings to have Deerfield Beach participate along with Coconut Creek in the Chapter 163 challenge and the formal administrative hearing?
exactly what I was going to say.
And I second it.
well done, Commissioner Hudak. Well done. Motion by Commissioner Hudak, seconded by Commissioner Shinetsky. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Okay.
We'll go back to, we'll do this again. Again, it's my second meeting, folks, so anyone opposed? No, let the record show unanimous consent. All right, we're going to go back to public hearing, Mr.
Maybe an expenditure with regard to that item, Mr. Mayor, if you could do a voice vote.
So,
Excuse me, a roll call vote.
So
Thank you.
We'll revote and then we'll do it on a roll call vote.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's open item 14 to the public. I see at least one person online, Madam Clerk. Representative Reed. Go ahead, Representative.
Thank you, Mayor. Gwen Clark Reed, 1430 Southwest 6th Way, Deerfield. If we go in with Coconut Creek on this matter, how much is it going to cost? What will be our costs for the attorney. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Madam Clerk, anyone else online? Anyone from the public in the commission chamber would like to speak? I see former Mayor Nolan, come on down.
Okay.
3 minutes. You won 3 minutes.
Peggy Nolan, 325 Southeast Third Terrace, Deerfield Beach. I think it is extremely important that we hook up Coconut Creek. This has gone, on and on and on, and it's a disgrace that we have to go through this every couple of years. They need to be shut down. And our county commissioners, I called every single one of them and opposed it, and it didn't matter. So this is something that, we really, really have to, get together and fight this. And when you all go to the League of Cities, get your fellow commissioners and mayors from other cities to help with the phone calls and, oppose the landfill being expanded. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else in the commission chamber would like to speak? Nope, we're going to close it to the public hearing. Anyone, colleagues have any further questions before we go to a roll call vote? No, Commissioner Hudak, does your motion to approve
Stands.
stand? Commissioner Shinetsky, is your second stand?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, you have the roll call this time, please.
Commissioner Hudak,
Yes.
Commissioner Plout,
Yes.
Commissioner Shinetsky,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Preston,
Yes.
Mayor Drosky.
Yes.
You are now at comments by mayor and city commission.
Okay, we're going to start with District 4 tonight. Commissioner Plout?
Well, thank you for the honor, Mayor. I do have a few words to say. First of all, I'm very thankful for this new position. This is the 7th day, and every day is a wonderful day. And I want to thank the residents for their support in so many ways. And tonight, I want to thank the staff. I mean, everybody here, I want to thank them for their professionalism, and the courtesy and respect that I have received is overwhelming. I just want to live up to it. What they've done to my office to accommodate me, and it might imply some kind of luxurious thing, but I had them throw out some old furniture, okay? And they painted the wall, so it was probably cost $15 and some labor, okay? So I don't want to get some blowback on that later, but just everybody was just on the ball and so respectful, like I said, and it's a get it done team that I'm seeing here now that I can get in the building and see what goes on during the day. So that was last Tuesday that we were all sworn in, and the very next day at 10 o'clock in the morning, I got up and I couldn't wait to go to a grand opening to see my first ribbon cutting. That was at the Chick-fil-A, which is on North Federal Highway. It's next to the Shell station, and it's Hillsborough and Federal, just a little bit north on the west side. I met a really, really fantastic person. His name is Ephraim Silva. He's the owner. He's looking at him, he's a young man. Everybody looks kind of young to me these days. But he is an amazing individual. He owns the establishment. He also owns the one in Pompano, which he's about to close to renovate. And the way he expressed himself to me about how much that he wants the city, that he wants to be a part of the city. He expressed to me that they're going to take about 2 months to renovate the Pompano place. And during that period of time, he's hoping that the people in Pompano miss the establishment and that they're happy to come back. He's very excited to be able to serve the community. And I see him as a volunteer kind of guy. I got to tell you, he has several children, a few of them adopted. And his wife is handling I think it's 5 children. Just to take on adopted children is really, something. And they're all homeschooled and everything. Very impressed by this young man. And He's very community minded. I wouldn't put it past him to be here at some different times to try to see what he can do to help the city. Of course, he's a business. He's trying to make money, but he really wants to be involved in the city. So that was my first day on the job on Wednesday. Thursday, another 10 o'clock in the morning appointment. I had JM Families arrange for me a tour to go to the Boys and Girls Club. They rolled out the red carpet. I met the two co-CEOs of the Boys and Girls Club. I saw an amazing, committed staff of people. It's all about the children. They have a full-size gymnasium. If you didn't know that, it was exciting to go in there. My wife accompanied me. She has a degree in physical education, and she's kind of a gym rat. She ran a gym in Davie when I met her a long time ago. And it's really something. They have like a couple of different computer rooms. One computer room is for the middle schoolers and one for the high schoolers. They do keep the folks separated in that respect, just because you deal with certain age groups, and it's like school. You get in your own little thing. So it was really, really amazing to see that. The computer rooms, they have an art room. And of course, the thing that I liked the most, they had a music room. So, usually I would tour something like that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but it was spring break at the time. So they had daytime activities, and there's so many folks out there, and they explained in detail everything that they do for these children, including they have a full-time, for want of a better word, a psychiatrist. I mean, if the kids have any kind of thing that they want to come forward with and get off their chest, problems at school, problems at home or something, there's a professional counselor. That's a better word for it. A counselor there that talks with those children and that cares about those children. And finally, we went to the music room. They have a full-time instructor that instructs not only the musical instruments, but has a recording studio. And they have a set of drums. They have guitars. They have a keyboard. Very, very committed staff to these people. And I do have to say, it kind of leaked out that I was a musician. So they made my wife and I pick up some instruments, and we put on a little performance. So at the end of the performance, the co-CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, it was like, boy, I didn't see that coming, so it was pretty cool. I really, really enjoyed it. Had a day off on Friday, but made some phone calls and looked at my schedule and got some things done. And then Saturday we went to a super event that everybody was at, the Deerfield Beach Awards for commemorating the leaders in Deerfield Beach, the women leaders, because it's Women's Month for that. And that was really, really nice. A nice luncheon. I got to meet, the wonderful thing about this position is you get to meet the people that step forward and want to do something with this community. In other words, what the mayor told me, you're going to meet the players now, Tom. That's what he said to me. And that's exactly what they are. So the next big thing, of course, is the block party, the bash that's going to be on April 12th. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Got a couple of musical acts going on, food trucks. There'll also be tours here and a shuttle service here that will give you a little tour of the Red Caboose, the old schoolhouse, maybe a few other surprises, and send you over to the block for all the entertainment and the camaraderie. And once again, if you show up, you'll meet the players in this city. So just wanted to tell you my first 7 days in this position, and I'm looking forward to everything else that comes forward. And I want to thank the public for their love and support.
Thank you, Commissioner, for the detailed calendar review.
I get 7 days.
District 3, Commissioner Shinetsky. If you say anything about South Brooklyn, I'm cutting you off.
Don't worry, I won't. What did he say? You could take Brooklyn out of the kid, but you can't take the kid out of Brooklyn. All right, whatever. But Deerfield Beach is my wonderful home now. Well, District 3 is crackling with activity. In Century Village, the main gate, that was a big project, the main gate on Hillsborough. I've been coordinating with Century Village Master Management, with the contractor and with the city to make sure that all the correct paperwork is brought to the city. The updated architectural plans are brought to the city and the comments are addressed by Master Management. And it was done this Monday. All the plans and all the comments were brought to the city for review. So, and there is a website, a city website that the public could see exactly what's happening, whether the structural committee is going to review it or the zoning. So everything is on course right now. And hopefully after review, we'll be able to get that permit and get that main gate going. But I'm very happy that the safety was not compromised. Everything was done correct. So that was a project for me this week. In Hillsborough Boulevard, the wall around Hillsborough Boulevard in Century Village, they already have the permit and I guess they're going to be breaking ground. And again, this is for the safety of the residents of Century Village. So I'm very happy about that. In terms of Crystal Lake, I let Crystal Lake HOA and the citizens know that there's going to be a public hearing on Monday, April 28th at 7 p.m. at Deerfield Beach City Hall Commission Chambers concerning Northwest 45th Street, basically the stormwater project. I want to make sure that there's no flooding on Northwest 45th Street and the whole Crystal Lake area. That's very important. And the public will be invited from Crystal Lake so they could address any concerns. And they eventually want to have sidewalks on Green Road so that their children can have accessibility when they're dropped off at the school buses. So I'm very proud about that. And finally, Meadows at Crystal Lake. During the campaign, when I addressed the HOA at Meadows at Crystal Lake, their big problem, and the mayor is aware of this also, was accessibility in the entrance and egress on Military Trail with Meadows at Crystal Lake between Green Road and Southwest 10th. And they were saying there were a lot of accidents because of all that traffic, on both sides. So I give the kudos to the mayor because we got that problem solved. We were able to put up signs on caution signs on both sides. Basically, it would give a 2-3 second pause in traffic coming from Green Road to Southwest 10th and from Southwest 10th to Green Road, right where St. Mercy's Church is. And the residents of Meadows at Crystal Lake gave them a little pause that they would be able to get out of the entrance and the exit. So they're very happy about that. I spoke to the HOA vice president and he said they're very, very happy. And they asked to say thank you to the mayor for, pushing for that. He fulfilled his campaign promise. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. District 1, Commissioner Hudak.
Thank you very much. So on Tuesday, no. On Thursday, April 10th at 7 o'clock right here in City Hall, we're going to have a District 1 community meeting. So we'll have police and fire here. We'll also have code enforcement so we can go over the amnesty program. And then we'll also discuss the status of the various projects that are going on within our city with regards to the pier, the undergrounding of the lights and the S-curve, as well as our stormwater drainage project on 6th, 7th, and 8th Avenue. As Commissioner Plout previously said, on Saturday, we attended the Women's Club Hall of Fame. The host was magnificent. So thank you very much, former mayor. We had a tremendous time. And as Mr. Plout said, these are the movers and the shakers that help our city become a community. I've said it, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times, how there are only, 150, 200 people in this city of over 87,000 who really put their time in to make a difference. We had the honor of honoring 5 wonderful women and introducing them into our Hall of Fame. If those of you do not know, Deerfield Beach does have a Women's Hall of Fame. And the plaque is actually in the school right over here, the original school. So, and it's been going on, I think, for 10 years now, 8 years now. And each year, everybody on the dais gets to nominate an individual. And it gets harder and harder every year because of all the things that these women do to help our city grow and just be the community that people desire to come to. So again, thank each and every single one of the current Hall of Fame members and also the previous ones who have been graciously honored in our city. On Saturday, we have two competing events. We have the Easter egg roll at the middle school on the 12th at 9 a.m. And we also have the Bernard Adams Municipal Complex dedication happening at the exact same time. So I will try to split myself in half so that I can attend both. I know city staff is working to see if we can at least stagger one of them so that we have the ability to attend both, as they are pretty close and as far as where each event is happening. And that's all I have for District 1.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor Preston?
They're both on the 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, your question.
No, I'm calling on Vice Mayor Preston.
Thank you, Mayor. My colleague was right that the Women's Hall of Fame was a tremendous success. We had the honor of bringing forth some very wonderful contributing women to the city of Deerfield Beach, one of which is in attendance right now. And so that was a wonderful thing for us. And so I want to thank staff and thank everybody that was associated with that, because it was a tremendously successful event. I'd like to also thank staff for my District 2 meeting, which was a success. And thank you so much, staff. You did a great job. Got a lot of comments. You had a very big turnout, so that was awesome. Be advised that the 4th, this Friday, Park Ridge is hosting Real Men Read. And that's going to take place at the breakfast is at 8:15. The read time is 8:45 to 9:30. So please come out and participate in the Real Men Read. The other thing is, Mayor, you at the beginning of the meeting, there was a presentation given on the dunes, and you opened that up to the public, and you didn't ask the commission. You know, you said my colleagues probably want to hear from that. I didn't, because that to me is challenging and dangerous, because if you open it up to one, then you need to open it up to everybody. If there was a personality that came before us that was not a personality that everybody embraced, and we said, this is just a presentation and we're not going to let the public speak, to me, that's not right and it's not fair. It was just a presentation. I didn't really want for it to be open up for that reason, because now we put ourselves in a position where we have to decide whether we're going to open it up or not. But you had said that my colleagues I'm sure they want to hear from you. I didn't. And there was no vote from the commission to be able to say whether we would want to hear that or not. The other thing is I wasn't aware that the 3 minutes had been taken away. You know, sometimes when people come up in front of the commission, it takes them a while to be able to explain their point of view. And sometimes they get a little nervous standing in front. Before you know it, that 3 minutes is gone. And the ability to have some additional time is a good time, but that was taken away without the commission's vote when it always had been in place. And these are the kind of things that you should have come to us. We don't have strong mayor government in the city of Deerfield Beach. We have city commission government. And that means that we should have been a part of it. And if the commission wanted to entertain saying, you know, we don't want to do that anymore, you know, I would be a dissenting vote on that because I really believe that the public ought to be given the opportunity to express themselves as much as possible. And so I'm a little concerned with the opening it up to the public, because the minute it was opening up to the public and they start casting an opinion, it becomes a public hearing at that point. But what if a person comes in front of us that nobody likes? The first thing they're going to say is, we're not going to do it. So I'm concerned about those things and how this commission sits as a part of a body that's supposed to be a part of a voting body that we implement together and we take away together. It is not just one person's decision. Each one of us are equal votes up here. So that's my comment.
I'll address that one first. Is as the mayor, I run the meeting, and so the extra minute was something that was afforded by Mayor Gans. In my opinion, it was too indiscriminate. Some people would get it, some people would not. So I didn't think that was fair. You should be able to make your point in 3 minutes. And so the extra minute, I don't think is necessary anymore. You should be able to make your point in 3 minutes. And if you can't, then I think you need to practice in advance, but I don't know that we're doing anything different than any other city. Every other city does the 3 minutes without the additional minute. The additional minute was not being applied fairly across the board, in my opinion, so I didn't see the need for it. And so that's why I asked the city clerk to remove it from the agenda going forward. As far as the dunes issue tonight, I mean, I opened it up to the public. Anyone from the public had the opportunity to speak, and also anyone from the dais had the opportunity to speak. It was not an agenda item and didn't have to be open to the public, but I thought with the public that was here that wanted to speak, and Commissioner Hudak mentioned specifically he wanted to hear from the public at the beginning, I didn't see any harm in doing that tonight. So
I think that it's something that we should have discussed as a commission. And do you guys want to open it up to the public? And you vote, you say yes or no. That's how it's been done. And as far as the 3 minutes is concerned, you said Mayor Gans did that. No, actually, that started back when I was in office before, that I asked for additional time for people to speak. It was taken away after I lost the election, and that kind of went away. So if that's going to be it, I don't know that countywide, you just said that everybody else in the county does 3 minutes. I don't know that. I don't know if there is a rule by which people have some additional time. I don't know what the rules are for every other. I'm just talking about the way that it was here. It was taken away without any discussion. Like if you had said, "Hey guys, I'm going to take this away," but there was no discussion. That's my point. Okay, of something that had been in place and that we were abiding by, and that's what we were doing.
okay, fair enough. I understand. I did, Commissioner Preston or Vice Mayor, I did take up your offer. You did mention the Real Men Read, so I did sign up for that this Friday. I'm gonna be there. I look forward to that. And the breakfast is everything that you say it is. We're in for a treat. The only other item that I have that I want to bring up tonight is I have been contacted by several people throughout the city that wanted for me to discuss with you whether to bring back prayer to the city commission meetings. That is a hot button item, because when you open it up for prayer, you not only open it up to Christian, Hebrew or Islamic faiths, but you open it up to people that we probably otherwise wouldn't want to be here. For example, the Satanists. The Satanists would have the opportunity to come and make a mockery of the entire situation. And in fact, I think that's why public prayer was removed from here, because we did have folks come in and make a mockery of it. But you can't discriminate. When you open it for one, you have to open it up for all. And that's why we've been doing a moment of silence, is so that those individuals can, in their own space and in their own mind, say whatever they need to and pray to whoever they need to. without making a mockery of the commission meeting, which we would do to open that up. So I mentioned it tonight to see if there's any temperature, and I'll put it on as an agenda item in the future if it's something that has any any momentum from my colleagues tonight. But I do mention that, but I want you to know there is a serious downside to going down that road. So I will put it on a formal agenda item so that the public is aware and they can be prepared and they can come and make their comments as well. But I wanted to get your temperature before we even start going down that road. So Commissioner Hudak has his light on, and see what feedback he has.
I would not be in favor of it. I think the moment of silence gives everybody an opportunity to pray to the entity that they pray to. And I think by opening it up, like you said, is just going to open up a can of worms. We do live in a country of freedom of speech, so I can understand why individuals of religions that we may not all agree on or support would be able to also pray in that. There was a time when Christianity was not, or Catholicism was not the preferred religion in this country. It was Protestant. So I think keeping it as a moment of silence is best so that everybody has the opportunity to speak to their preferred deity in their own silence.
Not working, but thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else like to chime in? I'm not putting anybody on the spot, so as just to get feedback, just to kind of go forward. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I just think that the integrity of the meeting must be protected. You mentioned that anybody can come, and if it's going to be a spectacle, then the meeting, it doesn't start well, it won't end well. So my thing is not because we do live in a country where differences, even Satanists, their right to pray is protected by our Constitution. So we have to also decide whether you want to live by the Constitution or you don't. The point being is that the meeting itself, the integrity of the meeting must be protected. And if somebody is just going to look to bring attention to themselves or make a spectacle of what we're doing here, then that should be prohibited. So along with my colleague, Commissioner Hudak, I would not be in favor of it either.
Okay, I appreciate the feedback. Gentlemen to my left, you don't have to jump in. I see where this is going. I can quite frankly concur. This is not a circus or a show beforehand, and unfortunately, that's what this would turn into. So with that, we'll let it go. Our next meeting is April 22nd here in the Commission Chambers at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to close or adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion adjourned by Commissioner Plow, seconded by Vice Mayor Preston. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
No.
Aye.
April Fool's.